Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. And now, celebrating 15 years of broadcasting, here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again, whether you're tuning in on the radio dial here in Mississippi at WYAD 94.1 FM or through one of our online affiliates around the world, including Conversations Radio Network. We're glad you all could join us as well. For over 2 decades, our next guest has been not only helping us to look at our lives differently, but also to become better aware. I'm really excited to welcome Jon Kabat-Zinn to our program today. The book that I had a chance to read by Jon is The Healing Power of Mindfulness, A New Way of Being. We'll talk to Jon not only about the new book, but also what it's been like for him to devote his life to this work and to see the way that what he's been able to share has affected people literally around the world. And if you're just not hearing about Jon, I'll let you guys know at the end of our segment how you can stay connected with him. But Jon, hello to you and welcome to the program.
Well, thank you, Cyrus. It's really nice to be here, and especially Jackson, Mississippi, which I've never been to and would love to come at some point to Mississippi and feel the culture down there.
Oh, would love to have you. Well, Jon, you know, the work that you do, and I think that's a great example then of what we're talking about here, because the work that you've done have touched people literally around the world, Jon. And then, of course, this new book, The Healing Power of Mindfulness, A New Way of Being, kind of builds on this work you've been doing for 2 decades. What has this been like for you, Jon, to be on this journey for yourself and then to be able to share it with other people?
Well, it's beyond gratifying. And I'm getting an echo in my headset. I hope it's okay for you.
Yes. It's fine.
Doing fine?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sure.
Good. So it's really incredibly gratifying, and it's actually been 40 years that I've been doing this work, starting at the University of Massachusetts Medical Center's mindfulness-based stress reduction clinic back in 1979. And I don't have to tell your listeners that the world has changed a lot since 1979, and it's only gotten more stressful. So the challenge is, how are we going to deal with all the stress in our lives and how quickly it comes at us and how fast changes are happening? And really what science is showing is the only way to deal with it is to learn how to tune our own instrument of body, heart, mind, and so forth, and our relationships to each other and to the world in ways that actually promote healing and balance of mind, as opposed to agitation and just running from pillar to post until you basically drop into your grave.
For sure. And Jon, one of the things that you say early on in The Healing Power of Mindfulness that I think is such a big thing for us to really to think about for ourselves. I just want to read these 2 sentences because I think it says so much. You write, within the very cultivation of mindfulness itself, as a formal meditation practice and as a way of being, we discover that we have powerful innate resources that we can draw upon in the face of what is unwanted, stressful, painful, or terrifying. We learn that we have countless opportunities to turn around and to befriend whatever arises, rather than to run away from it or wall it off, to put out the welcome mat, so to speak. That is a powerful thing to me. What was that realization like for you?
You just nailed it. I mean, you just nailed it picking out that particular quote. Yeah, so this is really what the cultivation of meditative awareness is all about. And just to say, mindfulness is basically human awareness. But it's human awareness that's cultivated so that we learn how to inhabit it as, if you will, our default mode, rather than just running around mindlessly from pillar to post. And that requires a certain kind of working out, a certain kind of exercising of our capacity to pay attention. So you could say that mindfulness is like learning how to tune our instrument before we take it out on the road and play it every day. And then we're tuning it actually as we're playing it too. So it becomes a love affair, so to speak, with living life, our life, as it is and as if it really mattered, rather than just wishing it was some other way, which, of course, can just lead to greater anxiety and depression.
You talk about if there is a theme throughout the healing power of mindfulness, Jon, one of the things that you talk about is the unfolding, kind of pulling back the layers. I think one thing that should help our audience in this is to realize this is not something that happens overnight. What was the journey like for you, Jon, to realize, for one thing, it takes patience, but also it takes persistence in this journey and in this walk?
Yeah. Well, Cyrus, I actually spend a lot of time in the book talking about my own personal life because I thought that in this particular book it would give the listener and the reader a sense of, like, not so much about, like, how I did it, but how easy it is to do this kind of thing, even in the face of great difficulty. Because if you don't, then you miss your whole life. So for me, starting from when I was like 21 years old, and I'm like 74 now, this has been the guiding sort of practice and way of being in my life. And it's actually, I'm not sure I'd even be alive if I hadn't come across mindfulness in my early 20s, all the, self-destructive tendencies and everything else that, go along with being young. So it's been extremely gratifying, and it became so important to me that rather than it being kind of something I did on the side as like a hobby or like running or, something I do for my own well-being, I thought, no, this is something that's so valuable. I would like to make this the central piece of my work. And so being trained as a scientist at MIT, I was privileged to be able to actually thread certain needles and start a stress reduction clinic at the University of Massachusetts Medical Center. And then, as you say, it did actually spread around the world to a large degree because I studied it scientifically and wrote a lot of scientific papers, and then other people got interested who are much better scientists than I am and also deeply interested in the meditation practice. And then so it's taken off, and it's a whole field within medicine, neuroscience, psychology, and even sports performance.
Yeah. The part of the book that really spoke to me and stepped on my toes a bit, Jon, is the part 2, Arriving at Your Own Door. I want to talk to you a bit about that. I want to say for those who are just tuning in, either on the radio side or online, you're listening to Conversations Live. Already having a great conversation today with Jon Kabat-Zinn. He's the author of the book, The Healing Power of Mindfulness, A New Way of Being. And you can tell by this conversation, it really is different than the way that we're used to thinking about. You talk about a couple things that really struck me, Jon, in part 2 of the book, and that is, of one, the infidelity of busyness, but interrupting ourselves. That's what I want to focus on for a bit.
Yes.
Because I think so many times, and I think regardless of who we are, single, married, whether we have children, or just trying to make it throughout life, we all are so busy, right? And we all, really miss out on opportunities to be able to not only, of course, to get to know ourselves, but also to really enjoy life to the full. What was that like for you to kind of realize the importance of taking out that time for ourselves to really appreciate being?
Well, it made all the difference. As I said, I don't think I'd be alive if I hadn't crossed paths with this kind of mindfulness meditation. Because it lights up everything. Even, Henry David Thoreau, one of our great philosophers in the United States, said, I went in his book, Walden, said, I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to front, meaning confront, only those essential facts of life and see if I could not learn what they had to teach, and not when I came to die, discover that I hadn't lived. So the only way that we can actually live our lives is to actually be fully present for them. And yet we're so distracted, nowadays even more so by our devices and everything else, that we actually aren't really in touch with the present moment. And when we learn how to really befriend it, things change instantly. It's not something you have to go to school for or study or even read this book. It's like you can listen to the audio program and there you go. You're already feeling your way into it because life becomes the teacher. It's not the book. It's not me. It's life itself and all your friends and children and colleagues and everything else and nature that are giving back to you the message that, hey, time to wake up and live your life while you can because it's not forever. It's a big adventure, and I see it that way. It's not like, oh, my God, now I've got to meditate. One more thing I have to fill my life with, and I don't have any time for that. The real meditation practice is how you live your life from moment to moment. So in that sense, even this conversation and the listening that's going on on the radio or wherever people are hearing this, this is the meditation. This is it. And this is life unfolding in this moment. And if you can touch base with it in this moment, then the next moment is already different, and therefore it continues to grow inside you.
And this book really helps us to see, John, that this is something we don't have to feel as though we can't do. It's something that we can learn to do. You write this in the book about being able to become unbusy. Mindfulness practice does not only lead to our becoming more aware of this very strong tendency to interrupt ourselves, to distract ourselves, and be diverted from what we are attending to in this moment, from what we might call our primary object or focus of attention. It also leads, of course, to training our attention to be more stable, more unwavering, less entwined into the interruptive and distracting energies of the thought stream and of transitory emotional states. And I think what is so great to me about that is the point that it can be something that we can train ourselves to do. So when you hear from readers of your books or those who listen to the audiobooks as they can do with this one, John, how does that feel to know that you are, by sharing this, helping them day by day to become the person that they can appreciate more?
Well, I can't tell you how it feels. It's so remarkable, and I feel so much gratitude. And I don't actually think, although the people project it onto me, that it's me that did it for them. But actually, I like to deflect that back to them because it's really they who have done it themselves. And in this particular book, I received a letter from a woman in Scotland who had esophageal cancer and was very badly treated by the healthcare system. And she wrote to me a really remarkable letter, which I put into the foreword, expressing that kind of gratitude. And if you're asking me how I feel about it, I mean, there's no better feeling in the world, because this is what real work is about, is in some sense, whatever the work is that we do, helping other people to basically achieve what they want in their lives, whether you're a school teacher or whether you're a house builder or a painter or anything else, to help people have a moment when they connect with themselves and they say, this is what it's all about. I'm still alive and I'm happy in this moment, and I can see how to deal with the unwanted, with the stressful, with the painful in ways that actually don't deflect from my own interior beauty or integrity. And it's a practice, it's a way of being. It's not a philosophy or a catechism or some kind of thing like that. So everybody's capable of this simply because, hey, we're all breathing, and if you're breathing,
right,
the challenge is, well, can you be aware of this moment and this breath? And if you can, then how about the next one? And it goes from there. The world winds up being your mindfulness teacher.
There you go. Again, everyone, Jon Kabat-Zinn has been our guest. Great conversation with you, John. The book is The Healing Power of Mindfulness, A New Way of Being. It's available through our friends at Amazon.com, both in print, the Kindle edition, as well as the Audible edition. Make sure you guys do pick it up. Don't let not having the time to read be the excuse for not getting it. You can get the Audible edition, be able to have it on, as you heard John mention here, to be able to allow that to be part of your meditation. And, John, how can our audience stay connected with you?
Well, my website is www.mindfulnesscds.com. That's because these CDs are available for learning the guided meditations if people want to do it. There's all sorts of other stuff on that website. Another way to get to it is www.jonkabat-zinn.com. Kabat-Zinn with a hyphen and John, Jon. I just want to say, Cyrus, before I leave, that it's been wonderful talking with you. I love the questions, and I love the sort of depth that you've touched on in a very, very short period of time. And I hope it's useful to your listening audience, not just today, but going forward.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, John. And looking forward to our next conversation together.
Okay, be well, and thank you.
You're more than welcome. Thank you. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. If you all came in late, you missed part of the conversation with John. Don't worry. Thanks to our online friends, you all can catch the replay right after we go off the air. The link is already available through our social media sites. So head over to Facebook.com/Cyrus Webb or go to Twitter.com/Cyrus Webb. You can click on the link there, listen to the show completely for free, and share with your friends from there too. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Make sure you take out time to enjoy some good music as well as a great book. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live. Let's make it a great one.